Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for tuning into Business Daily. I'm Lee Ji-yoon in Seoul. We have plenty on our plate today, so let's get started by taking a look at the day's highlights. The Korean government is stepping up efforts to help the country's struggling shipping companies faced with millions in operating losses. But is it a welcome move? From the ever-strengthening dollar and its impact on the global economy to the lucky winners of a $1.6 billion Powerball jackpot, we dig deeper into global business stories that made headlines this week. But first, Korea's export sector continues to struggle as the global economy keeps slowing. And while visiting a major port today, Korea's new finance minister Yoo Il-ho made an ambitious pledge to turn Korea into one of the world's 5 largest exporters. Our Hwang Jae has this report.
Korea's new economic team will lay the foundation for the country to establish itself as one of the world's top 5 exporters. That's what Finance Minister Yoo Il-ho vowed to do as he made his first on-site visit to Pyeongtaek Harbor early Friday. Yoo said his team will search for new export markets as well as products while strengthening industrial competitiveness. Currently, Korea is the world's 6th largest exporter, following China, the United States, Germany, Japan, and the Netherlands. The new economic chief's emphasis on exports comes as Korea's outbound shipments dropped every month last year due to slowing global demand, especially from China, as well as slumping global oil prices. Traditionally, Korea's exports have been the country's main growth engine, accounting for roughly half of gross domestic product. The minister said, however, the export outlook for this year is not so bright, with uncertainties abroad that threatened the domestic economy last year expected to persist, while asking local exporters to also work on innovation to foster new growth engines. Yoo said the government will fight against the risks by actively utilizing the Free Trade Pact with China. Hwang Jae, Business Daily.
And following his first on-site visit, the finance minister sat down with the country's top central banker to discuss streamlining economic and monetary policies. Minister Yoo and Bank of Korea Governor Lee Ju-yeol got together in Seoul for their first meeting since Yoo took office on Wednesday. The top policymakers talked about the importance of quote-unquote preemptively managing economic risks while highlighting the need to overcome structural problems. Now, those problems include changes in the country's demographics, the weakening foundation of domestic consumption, and the shifting dynamics in the world economy. They also noted that it's an important time for Korea's economy given the wobbly conditions in emerging markets, as well as unknowns stemming from the impact of a U.S. rate hike and China's slowing growth. And with that, let's now get a quick check on how the markets fared here in Seoul today. Korean shares hit a 5-month low on Friday as investor sentiment was again spooked by losses we saw in the Chinese stock market. At the closing bell, the benchmark Kospi dropped 21.14 points to close at 1,878.87. While the tech-heavy Kosdaq also slipped 4.76 points to finish at 678.43. On the foreign exchange counter, the Korean currency remained flat against the U.S. dollar, ending at 1,213.41 against the greenback. Along with Korea's shipbuilders, also taking a hit are the country's shipping companies that have been left with no choice but to pull more ships out of circulation due to a lack of demand. And our Lee Ju-young tells us about the government's response to this problem and what firms think about this proposed solution.
Up until the global financial crisis in 2008, shipping was a booming industry thanks to the ever-growing force of globalization. But the economic crisis ground this activity to a near halt, slamming the brakes on the once rapid flow of goods. The feeble movement in global trade climaxed in mid-December when the Baltic Dry Index, an indicator that measures the cost of transporting commodities, fell to a 30-year low at 471 points. Korea's shipping companies were also hit hard in the fourth quarter last year, with the country's 2 leading container carriers Hanjin Shipping and Hyundai Merchant Marine suffering operating losses of $68 million and $12 million respectively. In order to aid these shipping firms and alleviate the situation, the Korean government announced it will create a $1.2 billion ship investment fund. But market watchers say the policy lacks effectiveness as the fund is only applicable to firms that have a debt-to-asset ratio under 400%. This bars both shipping firms from even applying, as they're both saddled with debt levels well over the 400% mark as of the third quarter. While Korea's shipping industry remains in a bog of sagging performance, facing a 12-month drop in the country's outbound shipments, shipping services provider Clarksons projects global cargo volume is likely to grow by 5.4% this year, with the development of mega trade pacts like the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Lee Ju-young, Business Daily.
Meanwhile, Hyundai Motor had a bumper year in Germany last year, renewing its annual sales record from 2013. Industry data released on Friday showed that over 108,000 units were sold, an increase of 8.6% compared to the previous year. That made it the fastest growing car brand in the country, outstripping the German auto industry as a whole, which only saw a 5.6% rise in sales. Kia Motors, an affiliate of Hyundai, also saw record sales figures of over 55,000 units, and combined, the two come in as the second largest import car brand in Germany after Skoda. And staying on Hyundai, Korea's largest automaker has launched its first ever model designed specifically as a green vehicle. The auto giant wants to blaze a trail within the global eco-friendly car industry, with other lineups expected to be released soon. Our Son Jung-in tells us more.
This is the Ioniq, Hyundai Motors' first locally released hybrid and electric car. The hybrid version can run up to 22.4 kilometers a liter, on par with other leading models in the global market. Aside from its extensive list of smart features such as parking assist, the vehicle offers a program where the car's battery is covered by a lifetime guarantee. Hyundai Motor plans to introduce the electric and plug-in hybrid versions in the second half of the year. It aims to sell 30,000 units at home and abroad this year and push to increase sales to 77,000 next year, including overseas shipments of 62,000.
We are sure the Ioniq hybrid system will solidify Hyundai Motors' leadership in the global hybrid industry.
A slew of hybrid models are set to debut in Korea this year. The latest Toyota Prius, currently only sold in Japan, will be launched in March, while Chevrolet's new Bolt EV will be in local showrooms within this year. At the annual Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas last week, Volkswagen unveiled a zero-emission minivan that can travel up to 500 kilometers on a single charge.
It's much more modern, it's high technology, it's a long-range electric car. It's fully connected, it's a very emotional car, and it will be state-of-the-art by the end of this decade.
With Hyundai Motors' latest hybrid compact to debut in Europe and North America within the first quarter of the year, competition in the global market is expected to become fiercer than ever. Son Jung-in, Business Daily.
It's Friday, which means it's time to look through some of the global stories that made headlines this week. And for that, we're now joined by our Eunice Kim in the studio. Hello, Eunice.
Hello, June.
All right, so falling crude oil prices made headlines this week, which shook stock markets here in Asia and around the world as well. And this is at least in part due to the rising dollar.
Right. Morgan Stanley has said we could be seeing $20 to $25 oil simply on the strength of the U.S. dollar alone. And this is not just hurting investors. We're also seeing global companies make big decisions as business is moved out of the world's largest economy to other markets. Take a look.
24%. That's how much the U.S. dollar has climbed against major world currencies since March of 2014, when the U.S. Fed gave indications it would start considering raising interest rates. This according to local market researcher Investing.com. The impact of the strong dollar is uncontested, not only in market fluctuations, but in global business dealings as well. A strengthening dollar coupled with plummeting oil prices likely contributed to a surprise announcement on Thursday that the 24-hour news channel Al Jazeera would close its U.S. operations after pouring billions of dollars into the cable channel since its launch 2.5 years ago. The Qatari government-funded media group blamed an unsustainable business model in the U.S. media landscape. But just hours after that fateful memo, more memos popped up, this time at gas stations in Qatar, announcing pump prices would be raised by more than 30% starting midnight into Friday. Meanwhile, rising costs linked to the appreciating U.S. dollar have driven at least two multinational companies to make moves. Japan's Mitsubishi is set to end its U.S. assembly operations with the shutdown of its Illinois plant in May, where it had already halted assembling SUVs in November. U.S. conglomerate General Electric has shifted thousands of manufacturing jobs overseas to the likes of Canada, France, and China, following the closure of America's Export-Import Bank. UK bank HSBC has been contemplating moving its global headquarters to the U.S., but according to reports this week, that plan looks all but scrapped, possibly due to its heavy-handed tax regulations and the relatively small amount of business the multinational bank draws from the country. The bank is said to be looking at Hong Kong and Paris, if not staying in London altogether.
Well, it obviously takes a lot of consideration for a global company like this to make decisions like this, right? I mean, has the trend caught the eye of financial authorities?
In fact, it has, and the U.S. Fed did release its Beige Book this week, 2 weeks ahead of its policy meeting, and it noted that modest growth was seen in most U.S. districts in the late November to early January period. Manufacturing activity, though, was hurting, and this was attributed to the strong dollar and slow demand overseas, as a separate report did find that U.S. factory activity did contract for a second straight month in December. There's typically an inverse relationship between the U.S. dollar and commodities, as commodities like oil and foodstuffs are priced in dollars.
Now, on that note, let's get back to oil. It has been a major variable, and it seems that there will be no end anytime soon to this oil glut.
You're absolutely right, yeah.
As Iran is actually poised to rejoin the pool of producers in the very near future, right?
Right, and this is a development that many investors have been watching for. Now we could be days away from a historic lifting of that 10-year-old nuclear-related sanctions on Iran. Now, Iran has been completing some of its last tasks under the accord reached back in July, including extracting the core of its Arirang nuclear reactor and filling it with concrete. Now, a sign-off by the UN International Atomic Energy Agency could come over the weekend, and as early as Monday, UN and EU economic sanctions could be canceled. Now, this would then free up billions of dollars in frozen accounts for Iran and greenlight foreign investments as well. And the nation's oil minister had pledged earlier this month that it would push out 500,000 barrels a day of oil within a week of lifting sanctions and adding another 500,000 in 6 months' time. But it certainly won't be fetching the same revenue as oil had done before. Crude oil, of course, prices have fallen from $100 a barrel to $30 a barrel. Now, the odds were 1 to 292 million, but 3 ticket holders got it. They'll split the largest lottery payday the U.S., if not the world, has ever seen at nearly $1.6 billion. One of the tickets was bought at this 24-hour mart in the usually quiet suburb of Chino Hills, a 40-minute drive from Los Angeles.
I'm out here because it's exciting to know that somebody from our little city won. It's so exciting. I'm excited for them, and I don't even know who it is.
I'm very happy and excited and very proud. We sell that much money ticket. Yes, yes.
As you can see there, the owner of that 7-Eleven has been awarded a $1 million bonus for selling the winning ticket as well. The lucky ticket holders, meanwhile, whose names have not been revealed, hail from California, Tennessee, and Florida. While none will have to pay state taxes on their winnings, some 40% in federal taxes will be lobbed off their final check. The next Powerball, which rolls around on Saturday, resets to a not-so-paltry $40 million.
You know, and I actually heard that there were 73 people who won the $1 million ticket and
Right.
8 people who won the $2 million.
For those that got some of the 6 numbers right. But
And those are still really big numbers, right?
I could use $1 million, couldn't you?
Yeah, surely.
Well, congratulations to all of them.
Yes, thank you so much for coming in today, Eunice.
You bet.
And that wraps it up for today and this week. But we'll be back next week with more business news that matters to you. So don't forget to tune in then. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.